The sun had begun its slow descent behind the rolling hills of the village of Nobi when 17-year-old Kalechi hurried along a narrow forest path. A woven basket hung from his shoulder, filled with medicinal herbs his grandmother desperately needed before nightfall. The elders often warned young people not to wander through the whispering forest after sunset, for strange things were said to dwell beneath its ancient trees. But Kalechi had never believed such tales. To him, they were merely stories told to frighten children. As he pushed through thick bushes, a sudden gust of wind swept through the forest. The leaves above rattled violently despite the calm evening sky. Kalechi stopped. Something felt wrong. The forest had gone unnaturally silent. No birds sang. No insects buzzed. Only the sound of his own breathing filled the air. Then he heard it. A whisper. "Kalechi!" His heart skipped. He spun around, but no one was there. "Kalechi!" The voice came again, deeper this time, drifting between the trees like smoke. Fear crept into his chest. He tightened his grip on the basket and quickened his pace. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed behind him. He turned just in time to see a massive tree branch crash onto the path he had crossed moments earlier. Dust exploded into the air. Before he could recover from the shock, the ground beneath his feet trembled. Thin roots burst from the soil like living snakes and wrapped around his ankles. Kalechi cried out and stumbled forward. He clawed at the roots, struggling to free himself, but they only tightened their grip. The whisper returned louder now. "You cannot run from what was planted long ago." Panic surged through him. With all his strength, he grabbed a sharp stone and hacked at the roots. After several desperate strikes, they loosened enough for him to break free. He sprinted through the forest without looking back, branches tearing at his clothes as darkness gathered around him. Yet as he ran, he could have sworn that the trees themselves were moving, slowly closing in behind him. Kalechi reached the village breathless and shaken. That night, unable to sleep, he told his grandmother everything he had seen. Instead of dismissing his story, her weathered face turned pale. "There is something you must know," she said quietly. Before dawn, she led him to the oldest baobab tree in the village, a colossal giant that stood at the center of an abandoned clearing. The villagers avoided the place, believing it sacred. As they approached, strange symbols carved into the trunk seemed to glow faintly beneath the moonlight. Kalechi felt the same unsettling presence he had experienced in the forest. His grandmother knelt beside the tree and placed her hand upon its bark. "Many years ago," she began, "your ancestors made a sacred promise to the spirits of this land. In exchange for fertile soil and protection, each generation would provide a guardian chosen by fate. But decades ago, the agreement was broken. A sudden rumble shook the ground. The symbols on the tree blazed with golden light. 'The spirits have been waiting,' she whispered, 'and now they have chosen you.'" Before Kalechi could respond, the earth split open beside the baobab. Thick roots erupted from the crack and shot toward him. He jumped aside just as they slammed into the ground where he had been standing. The roots twisted together, forming the shape of a towering human figure with glowing eyes. Kalechi froze. The creature stepped forward. "You carry the blood of the Oathbreakers," it thundered. "The debt must be paid." His grandmother pushed him behind her. "No," she cried. "The boy is innocent." But the spirit ignored her. The wind howled through the clearing. Dust spiraled into the air. The root creature advanced, each step causing the ground to shake. Kalechi's pulse hammered in his ears. Every instinct told him to run, yet his legs refused to move. He stared into the creature's glowing eyes and felt an ancient power pulling at him, as though invisible roots were reaching deep into his soul. Then, without warning, a brilliant light burst from the baobab tree. The spirit recoiled with a roar, shielding its face. For a brief moment, Kalechi saw a vision, a hidden doorway beneath the tree, and a shadowy figure waiting beyond it. The light vanished. The spirit disappeared, and the clearing fell silent. As dawn painted the horizon in shades of gold and crimson, Kalechi stood before the ancient baobab, his mind racing. The vision had felt real, too real to ignore. His grandmother gazed at him with sorrow and pride. "The doorway you saw is the entrance to the root shrine," she explained. "It is where the first guardians made their covenant with the spirits. Only the chosen one can enter." Kalechi looked at the towering tree, its roots stretching deep into the earth like the fingers of destiny itself. Fear still lingered within him, But another feeling had begun to grow stronger: purpose. He finally understood that the whispers in the forest had not been calling him to destruction. They had been calling him home. Somewhere beneath the ancient tree lay the truth about his family's past and the fate that had waited generations to find him. Whether he was ready or not, his journey had begun, and deep beneath the earth, unseen eyes opened in the darkness, waiting for his arrival. The roots stirred once more. Fate had taken hold, and it would never let go.